The Grand Hall of Concord shimmered with artificial daylight, refracted off the polished obsidian floor, and bouncing across the 1,000 banners of 1,000 worlds. Each banner represented a member of the Galactic Convergence, a political body that spanned stars, species, and centuries. To outsiders, it was ordered incarnate. To insiders, it was barely contained madness powered by procedure. And then came the Canary. Their ambassador, Leora, stood trembling in the speaker's arch. Her translucent body pulsed with magenta desperation. A virus, alien and unstoppable, was tearing through the Canary homeworld. Her voice wavered as she pleaded, "We offer our archives, our crystals, our essence. We will give all for aid. Please, help us." Pause. Responses echoed in sanitized political jargon. "We regret. The timing. Quarantine protocols prevent intervention. May your people endure." Click-click sympathy sounds. Then silence. Not one of agreement, but of abandonment. Leora collapsed to her knees, light dimming from her crystalline veins. That's when the chamber shifted. A pair of worn boots echoed against the marble steps. Slow, lazy, disrespectful even. Every ambassador turned. The figure was unmistakable. Ambassador Hal Vex, representative of Earth. His posture was slouched, his tie was crooked, his suit looked slept in. His expression, barely awake. He yawned. The moment was surreal enough, until something more unbelievable happened. The 4 eldest races, the winged Ithari, the liquid Eldrux, the flame-bodied Volarn, and the light-born Zeth, all rose to their feet and bowed. Gasps followed like aftershocks. Nobody had ever seen even one of them bow. Vex scratched his neck and continued ambling down. He stopped in front of Leora, who looked up, stunned. "Virus, huh?" he said casually. "Got any data?" She handed over a crystal pad instinctively. Vex flipped through it, tutting occasionally. His eyes, though half-lidded, moved unnaturally fast. Yep. Nasty one. Be back in a tick." He snapped his fingers and vanished. Pause. The silence that followed wasn't just confusion. It was fear. Even the elder races shifted uneasily. 3 minutes passed. Then, whoosh. Vex reappeared in the same spot, holding another data crystal and a smoothie that smelled like bananas. "Here you go. Upload that to your med cores. Should fix the rot." He handed the device to Leora and walked back up the stairs. Not a single word more. The chamber adjourned in stunned silence. No votes, no discussions, no debates, just shock. Leora's hands trembled as she cradled the human data crystal. Her mind raced faster than her body could process. All around her, ambassadors whispered in hushed, panicked tones. The plague that had begun killing billions only days ago now had a cure. Not from the council, not from diplomacy, but from a sleepy man, in a wrinkled suit. Leora exited the chamber without hearing a single word spoken behind her. Her breath caught in her throat as she crossed the corridor toward the medical uplink terminals. A nearby technician scanned the crystal. Then I froze, then scanned again, and again. His voice cracked when he spoke. This is advanced quantum genomic. Lattice work, fully adaptive, autonomous targeting. It's perfect. Whispers followed her like ripples in a pond. She didn't respond. She was already moving again. Scene shift, quiet balcony above the chamber. Leora found them standing in silence. The Eldrux ambassador, fluid in form but solid in presence, gazed down at the stars through the skylight. Beside it stood the ancient Volarn, its body glowing faintly like cooling magma. She approached slowly. "Who is he?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "The human." The Eldrix rippled once. "You mean, what is he?" Pause. The Volarn answered, its molten glow, pulsing. "He is Earth Sleeper, the last of their watchers, one of the few left behind." Leora's brow furrowed. Left behind? The Eldrux turned to her, a rare motion. Its voice is thick with ancient regret. There was a time, long before even the Council, when the humans burned through the stars like fire through paper. They created, they conquered, then they vanished. Leora's pulse flickered in disbelief. But they're new, they barely attend, he naps during votes. Pause. The Eldruxes from twisted with a shiver. Exactly. Meanwhile, elsewhere across the chamber, a new fear was spreading. On a secure, private channel, the Groll warlord Ambassador Kraz slammed his fist into a stone console. They gave the Zinari a cure. They interfered. A growl rose in his throat. Begin a contingency plan. Ready the fleet. He leaned forward toward the screen. We cannot allow them to become dependent on Earth. The humans must remember their place. Back at the Council Observatory, Leora watched Earth's flag flutter slightly under artificial breeze. What kind of power do they sleep on? She murmured. And still, in the far seat across the chamber, Ambassador Vex snored quietly, mouth open, one hand lazily resting on a coffee mug labeled Earth Retired but Still Watching. Mic drop line. The galaxy thought humans were done. They were only resting. No weapon frightens me as much as a god who chooses to nap through our cries. Pause. Leora's trembling fingers accessed the data. Her people's AI confirmed it instantly. Not just a cure, a molecular resurrection. Beyond elegant, perfectly efficient, impossible. Mic drop line. He wasn't just human, he was history waking up. We thought Earth's ambassador was their weakest. But perhaps he was their warning. The Groll High War Council was not a place for patience. Ambassador Kraz towered over his sub-commanders, his obsidian claws clicking against the war map table. A holographic model of the Canary system flickered above them, showing its 5 crystalline moons and 1 primary world, Kinvalor, now marked with the green hue of recovery. A cure, he spat, delivered by that thing in human skin. Sub-Commander Reth stepped forward. The Canary are no longer dying, my lord, Kraz sneered. Then we must hasten their death with fire. He turned to his communications officer. Order the fleet. Burn them down. And if that ambassador dares yawn in our direction again or pause, we'll give him something to snore through. Laughter echoed across the command deck. But one Grow, older, wiser, slower, did not laugh. His name was Kelzar, once a historian, now half forgotten. He leaned in and whispered, You shouldn't poke what pretends to sleep. Kraz rolled his eyes. Humans are soft, distracted, cowards cloaked in apathy. Kelzar's jaw clenched. No, they're not. High above Earth, satellites orbited silently. The planet seemed still. No defense grid active, no visible fleets, just clouds and old silence. But inside Station ZY3, alarms suddenly flickered for 3 seconds, then vanished. The operator blinked, false positive, or, he hesitated. System just self-corrected faster than I could report. Behind him, an older technician sipped coffee. If you see something you don't understand up there, assume Earth already handled it, kid. Pause, and pray you never see what that looks like. Back on Canary, the cure was taking effect faster than anyone predicted. Cities reignited with light. Crystalline trees glowed again. The population had gone from mourning to hope. But Ambassador Leora was still unsettled. She kept replaying the moment the elders bowed, the moment Vex vanished, the 3-minute silence after. The way the Zeth ambassador physically trembled when he reappeared, something ancient had moved. Briefly. Then I went back to sleep. She turned to her aide. Send a formal message to Earth. Not the council version. Personal. I want to ask him why he helped us. Her aide hesitated. Ma'am, there's no Earth embassy. Just a P.O. box that hasn't responded in 6 years. Pause. Send it anyway. Over 300 ships. Bristling. Buzzing. Built for destruction. The fleet cut through space with mathematical efficiency. Their AI systems ran flawlessly. Until one ship, a command cruiser, lost power for 0.23 seconds. Nothing broke. Nothing failed. but a single text flashed across every ship's internal monitor for exactly 1 second. "We see you," then vanished. No logs, no records, but the crew, they felt cold. Every single Groll on board, as if the vacuum of space had passed through their bones. Mic drop line. The humans didn't warn us. They watched us write our doom and let us keep going. I would rather fight as the Groll First Armada entered the Canary system like a swarm of blades. Commanders barked orders, targeting systems aligned with precision. Fighters launched. Planetary orbitals were scanned, locked, marked, and yet, there was no resistance. The Canary didn't even launch diplomatic beacons. They simply stood still as if awaiting judgment. General Kraz watched from the flagship Devourer's spine, fangs bared in anticipation. They cower, as they should. But deep in his gut, something twisted. There was no sign of Earth. No defense. Grid. No messages, just silence. "Where's the human response?" he snarled. His second-in-command checked the comm logs. No fleet signatures detected. No planetary defense markers. Earth is not reacting. Pause. "Then they concede," Kraz hissed. "Fire when ready." Lasers surged toward Canary's orbital layer, but were suddenly halted by an emergency override. Every Groll console blinks red, then black. Confusion erupted. Engineers shouted, "Tactical." Officers slammed panels. And then, a low chime, one line of text. Again, "Do not." Pause. And just as fast, it vanished. Kraz's voice shook with fury. "Find that signal, trace it, destroy it." But even as the Groll ships rearmed, a flicker appeared on the main holoscreen. It was a ship, a single ship, small, sleek, jet-black hull with shimmering edges. No turrets, no cannons, no glowing reactors, just a calm presence, hovering between the Groll fleet and the Canary world. Kraz squinted. "What ship is that?" The AI responded flatly. "No registry match, no known model, no class assigned, no heat signature, no crew vitals detected." Pause. "Then destroy it." The Groll fired everything: plasma waves, kinetic darts, quantum-tipped missiles, a barrage worthy of flattening moons. They watched the black ship vanish inside fire and chaos. Smoke and sparks danced across the stars. But as the light faded, the ship remained, untouched, unbothered, unmoving. Back in the Galactic Council, a junior ambassador rushed into the chamber, breathless. "The Groll have engaged. Earth has appeared." All heads turned toward the one empty seat. The placard read, "Ambassador Hal Vex, Earth still vacant, still untouched, still waiting." And in the high balcony, Ambassador Leora sat frozen. Whispers. "They never declared war." "But they've already answered." Kraz was pale now, unnatural for a Groll. "Is this a weapon?" he asked. "Some cloaked dreadnought?" But before anyone could respond, a new image appeared on their main screen. A man, loud Hawaiian shirt, coconut, drink, leaning back in a fold-out beach chair. Hal Vex. "Sup? You called?" Kraz's mouth opened. Mic drop line. "When gods sleep, mortals play. But when they wake, the game ends. We measured power by fleets and weapons. The humans measure it in patience. God than a ghost with a coffee mug. The Groll flagship Devourer's spine was a temple of firepower, built to crush planets, split moons, erase legacies. Now it was silent. Everyone on the bridge stared at the man on the screen. His shirt looked like it belonged at a beach bar. His drink had a tiny paper umbrella. His eyes, however, were older than stars. "You're trespassing," Hal Vex said, sipping from the coconut. "And frankly, you're being very loud." "Ambassador," Kraz growled, stepping forward. "Human. You do not..." "Shh." Pause. Vex raised one finger. No drama, no build-up, and then he snapped. Pause. Instantly, the entire Groll fleet vanished. The bridge lights flickered. Kraz blinked. "What? Where is my armada?" No alarms, no explosions, just absence. as if 300 warships had never existed. Kraz spun to his officers. Check the sensors. The long-range array. Where did they go? One technician, pale and shaking, pointed to the main screen. It has been updated to show the Groll home system, their skies, their atmosphere, and thousands of Groll warriors, sailors, officers, standing confused, back home, empty-handed, scattered like ash across a peaceful sky. On every ship, across every world, the same message pulsed: sit, stay. Kraz's jaw trembled. You teleported all of them? Pause. Hal Vex leaned forward into the feed, voice casual but heavy. Next time, use your words. The screen blinks off. Scene shift. Kenari Capital, Healing District. Leora dropped the message crystal from her hands. The Kenari news feeds had just confirmed it. The entire Groll fleet had disappeared. No casualties, no wreckage, just gone. A child beside her clutched her arm. Are humans gods? She didn't know how to answer. Scene shift. Council chamber. Emergency meeting panic rippled across the room. Many demanded sanctions on Earth. Others screamed for explanations. But one ambassador from the flame-bodied Valarn stood slowly. There is nothing to sanction. You cannot punish a force that permits your survival, another added, trembling. They did not retaliate. They corrected it. Pause. And once again the seat labeled Ambassador Hal Vex remained empty, but the Earth flag beside it now glowed faintly. Kraz knelt before the high Groll leadership, ashamed, furious. We must strike, regroup, retaliate. But Kelzar, the old historian, stepped forward for the first time in years. You don't strike at the stars for shining too brightly, he whispered. You thank them and pray they keep sleeping. Mic drop line. He never raised a weapon. He just removed the need for one. In the archive chambers of the Eldruk's memory vault, a vault so sacred even the Council's highest members rarely entered, the past stirred. Ambassador Selene of the Eldruks floated silently over a table of living data. Transparent glyphs hovered, midair, shifting with slow gravity. His tendrils brushed over one glyph and it pulsed red. That symbol. It hadn't appeared in over 90,000 star cycles. But here it was. Burned into the fleet recall logs from the Groll system. A circle, broken at the top. A single eye inside. 4 points radiating outward. It wasn't a threat marker, it was a seal, a cosmic warning. Pause. They didn't just return, Selene whispered. They reactivated. Scene shift. Council Records Office, Confidential Sector. 6B Leora stood with the Zeth Archivist, an ancient being of light and whisper code. Its form flickered with guilt. You knew about them, Leora said quietly. We all did. And you let us believe they were irrelevant. Pause. We were instructed to. Leora frowned. By whom? The archivist stared at her. By the humans. In the shadows of the Milky Spiral, far beyond council space, a derelict observatory recorded an anomaly. A pulse from Earth's outer atmosphere, not weaponized, not loud, but every dark matter sensor, from the rim to the core, briefly shut down for 0.04 seconds. Just enough to be noticed. Just enough to remind them. Something old was moving beneath Earth's quiet surface. Back on Kenari, Leora sat alone on her balcony as dusk fell. The sky shimmered with revived life, the city alive again with light and sound. But her thoughts were heavy. She turned to her tablet, typed one line into her private notes. They gave us a miracle, and now I fear the cost. Scene shift. Earth. Undisclosed location. Deep Archives facility. Inside a subterranean vault sealed by layers of forgotten tech, an ancient AI hummed to life. A screen blinks on. Query received. Reclassification request. Ambassador Vex. The system paused, then responded in red text. Warning, level 0 entity, no classification permitted. Another file auto-opened, unbidden. Audio log. Dated unknown, calm, amused voice. You call us lazy, you call us old. That's fine. so long as you don't call us hungry. The log ended. Scene shift. Grohl homeworld. Temple of Battle Kelzar stood before the Council of War. The same warriors who had demanded vengeance just days ago now sat in uneasy silence. Kelzar placed a data crystal before them. This is everything I've gathered on Earth over my lifetime. Records, disappearances, sightings, the ancient warnings from the Sithari scrolls. He looked them dead in the eye. They never stopped watching. They just stopped caring. Mic drop line. The galaxy feared Earth's return. They never imagined Earth had never left. Our gods demand worship. The humans demand silence. And I fear the latter more. They could have burned us all. Instead, they sent us home like children past bedtime. The Grohl don't lose. They stall, they retreat. But they don't lose. So when their entire fleet was displaced, effortlessly, humiliatingly, they didn't grieve, they planned. Ambassador Kraz, stripped of council rank, stood before Shadow Commander Threx, the last hope of the Grohl war cast. We'll strike not at Earth, but at its shadow, Threx growled. The moon, their sentinel. We'll find the source of their power. 5 cloaked insertion pods were launched, silent, undetectable, gliding through the void with absolute precision. The pods landed without resistance. Grohl saboteurs emerged under the cover of solar shadow. The moon was barren dead, lifeless, dust and craters. But that's what bothered them. No sensors, no satellites, no defense installations. Just silence. Too much silence. Unit 3 moved toward a crater edge and placed a seismic drill. The moment it touched the surface, everything changed. The ground shuddered. Not violently, but something vast and ancient was stretching. Sir, one scout reported, panic in his voice. We're detecting structures beneath the crust, miles deep, not buildings, not tech. Pause. They're bones. The data streamed to Threx's command ship. He stared in disbelief as a 3D scan of the lunar subsurface unfolded. A massive ribcage, hundreds of kilometers wide, embedded inside the moon's core. A spinal column running beneath the Sea of Tranquility. A skull, buried at the southern pole, facing Earth. The moon is a tomb, someone whispered. No, it's a prison. And then, every Grohl operative's helmet snapped shut, sealed, locked. A low-frequency voice played in their ears, calm, tired. I told you to stay home. Then blackness, scene shift, council emergency. Feed footage leaked. The scan of the lunar skeleton went viral across the outer sectors in under 4 minutes. Panic surged in every channel. Theories emerged. The humans killed it. No, they built it. No, they grew up inside it. One Eldruk scholar whispered in horror, what if the moon isn't orbiting Earth? What if Earth is being watched? Scene shift. Human ambassador quarters, still empty. Junior council aide approached the silent room, hesitated, then left a message crystal outside the door. Please respond. The galaxy needs clarity. The door remained closed. From inside, faint snoring, and somewhere, deeper than audio could catch, something exhaled beneath the moon. Leora sat with a group of younglings. They pointed up at the moon, now glowing slightly blue. Is that where the humans live? One asked. She forced a smile. No, sweet one, that's where they sleep. We thought Earth was quiet, it was just listening through the bones. The humans didn't invent their strength. They inherited it, from something that should never have existed. The Galactic. Council had never been louder. Races that once debated resource tariffs now screamed across the hall about ancient bones, moon prisons, and planetary-scale teleportation. Holograms flickered from overload. Interpreter drones sparked mid-translation. And in the center of it all, the Earth seat remained empty, untouched, unblinking, unforgiving. Ambassador Zanal of the Thrix, a species known for binary logic and cold neutrality, stood up. I propose the immediate classification of Earth as a level 0 anomaly. Ambassador Varel of the Avos, wings trembling, countered, "No, we must submit. They cured a plague in minutes. They displaced a fleet without killing. They moved an army without touching a weapon. They are not enemies. They are curators." Others demanded answers. One screamed. One wept. One floated upward and refused to come down. Chaos layered with dread. A secured call between the Eldrux, Zeth, and Volarn ambassadors played in hushed tones. "They're testing us," one said. "No," replied another. "They're watching what we do when we think they're not." Pause. "They could rule us all. Why don't they?" "Because rulers have expectations. Parents, wait." Meanwhile, the outer colonies began rioting. Across 3 fringe systems, species once loyal to the Council now debated secession, hoping to avoid Earth's gaze entirely. On Kavros 9, protesters tore down the Council flag and raised a crude one, with Earth's planetary symbol, not in defiance, in fearful loyalty. "They don't need followers," one protester shouted. "They need witnesses." A rogue Groll warlord, defying every known treaty, attempted to launch a stealth probe at Earth's surface. The probe vanished 4.2 seconds after activation. No explosion. No trace, no transmission. Only one thing returned. Broadcast across an encrypted emergency channel, a video of the warlord sitting in a chair, sobbing, alone, in the middle of the Groll Senate Hall. "I didn't even feel it," he whispered. "I just wasn't there anymore." She studied the Canary translation of Earth's lunar symbols. The text was broken, misaligned, too old to match any known code, but one line kept recurring in different languages across multiple recovered fragments. "Let them forget, let them grow, let them try. We will wait." She closed her tablet. It wasn't protection, it was permission. The hallway lights dimmed. For the first time in Council history, the door to Earth's quarters blinked green. Unlocked, waiting. But no one stepped inside. No one dared. The door opened, not to welcome us, to see who would be foolish enough to enter. "I once begged for Earth's attention. Now I pray they never look this way again." The message was brief, blunt, brutal. "We cannot live under the shadow of a sleeping god." It came from the Coalition of 9, a freshly formed alliance of paranoid mid-tier species. No council vote, no debate. Just a declaration. Their plan: deploy a null field around Earth's orbit. Shut down all communication. Block any further interference. They claimed it was containment, but the galaxy heard the truth. We're scared, and we're trying to trap it. General Mirak of the Vrolk stood before his commanders. "They've given us miracles, but we can't keep living in fear. Today, we remind them. They are not untouchable." He tapped the command slate. 12 quantum nullifiers deployed from the dark edge of Solslow. Silent, cloaked, moving toward Earth's orbit like needles toward a sleeping heart. Back at the Galactic Council, chaos exploded again. Ambassadors yelled, into translation drones. Protests flooded subspace networks, but Earth still didn't respond. Not to the nullifiers, not to the Alliance, not to anything. They just waited, which terrified everyone more. "What if they're not ignoring us?" whispered one Athari noble. "What if they're letting us dig the hole?" Ambassador Leora's crystal tablet chirped. She opened the feed. It showed Earth, beautiful, blue, calm, and the 12 nullifiers, each slowing to geostationary positions above key Earth sectors. She could barely breathe. "They're boxing in the sun," she muttered, "and praying it doesn't burn through the bars." A camera probe on a civilian weather satellite, one missed by the Coalition, captured a brief glitch. At the 47-minute mark after nullifier alignment, Earth's upper cloud layer subtly rippled. No storm, no explosion, just a slight vibration, and then one by one each nullifier shut down. No flash, no beam, just off. Every single one deactivated simultaneously. But that wasn't the terrifying part. They didn't fall. They slowly turned around and pointed backward, toward their creators. Panic. Total collapse of calm. Officers screaming over each other. They've hijacked the nullifiers without touching them. They've changed the targeting arrays. They're aiming back at us. General Merak stood frozen. Why haven't they fired? A junior analyst turned to him pale. Because they want us to know they could. Pause. Then the message came. One single transmission, across every coalition ship, every channel. No encryption, no threat, just a human voice. Warm, friendly. We're not mad, just disappointed. Leora looked up at the Earth seat, still empty, still silent. But the council's lights dimmed. Every ambassador's tablet blinked on with the same phrase. This is your second mistake. Mic drop line. The first time they fixed it, the second time they watched. We feared a war, but war was mercy. What's coming is a lesson. 1,000 light years from Earth. On the edge of a red dwarf system. A planet without an atmosphere trembled, not from seismic activity, but from recognition. Scene shift. Dead planet. Codename. Vertex 7. Archaeologists had once marked it uninhabitable, lifeless, irrelevant. But today, a buried structure emerged from beneath the blackened rock. It rose slowly, groaning, with ancient mechanical life, not made of metal, not stone, but something in between, calcified intelligence. On its surface, a symbol, the same circle and eye found beneath Earth's moon. A beacon pulsed from its peak. Authority, Earth, status, observing. And that was just the first. Within hours, a derelict Dyson shell began spinning again. An extinct AI vault on Planet Kryn 4 began broadcasting in human dialect. 3 black holes simultaneously pulsed rhythmic gravitational signatures, matching ancient Earth music scales. The galaxy began to panic, because these weren't warnings. They were check-ins, updates, reboots, as if Earth's systems buried in every forgotten corner were finally waking up. Ambassador Varel of the Avos screamed, "You don't hide legacy architecture on this scale by accident." The Zeth ambassador spoke softly as if in prayer. They seeded failsafes, not to control us, but to watch how far we'd fall without them. Leora stood in the corner, silent. Then she finally asked, "Why haven't they erased us?" No one answered, because no one believed Earth couldn't. General Krylos stood on a scorched balcony, watching the stars. Every telescope was locked on Earth. But the fear wasn't of what humans might send. It was the thought that maybe they wouldn't. "They're not just older," he muttered. "They're tired, and that should terrify us more." A child approached Leora holding a carved stone. "Look what I found," the child said innocently. "It matches the mark on the moon." Leora took it, turned it over. The inscription was unmistakable. Primitive, carved by hand, in Canary, despite predating their written history. It said, "They came first, they stayed last." She nearly dropped it. All across Earth's orbit, the stars near Sol began shifting, not physically, gravitationally, as if something beneath Earth was flexing. No explosions, no weapon systems, just the subtle cosmic rearrangement of presence. Earth wasn't preparing for war. Earth was rebalancing the board. The door, long sealed, long feared, opened. No fanfare, just a faint hiss. Inside, a single chair, a desk, a steaming cup of coffee, and a note, written in ancient galactic trade script. "We watched. You forgot. We sta thee." Message arrived on no known frequency. It bypassed encryption, security, and translation filters. It was simply there. Every species, every station, every orbiting colony across the known galaxy received it simultaneously. Audio only. A calm voice. Familiar somehow. "You called us gods. We're not. You called us dead. We're not. You called us gone. You were never that lucky." We gave you silence so you could grow. We gave you distance so you could learn. And we gave you warnings, because we knew you wouldn't listen. The voice continued, soft but unrelenting. You feared our fleets, but the truth is they were never the danger. The danger was waking us up. Scene shift. Council chamber. Real-time ambassadors froze in place. Some cried, others vomited. One simply turned and walked into the light of the nearest airlock, eyes empty. Ambassador Leora stood like a statue. Then the chamber lights dimmed, and, for the first time in Galactic Council history, a message overrode the floor protocols. A hologram appeared mid-air, not on Earth, not of Vex, but of the galaxy itself, rotating slowly, then accelerating. Then, stars began to vanish, blip, 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 until only a single blue dot remained. Earth, then the voice returned. We don't want your thrones. We don't need your laws. We only ask one thing. Do better than the last ones. Scene shift. Earth orbit. Now dark. The orbital satellites deactivated. The moon pulsed once. Then Earth disappeared from every sensor. Not cloaked, just gone. As if it had folded inward. No comms, no trace. Just absence on scene shift. Grohl Senate panic erupted. Some demanded retaliation. Some declared Earth a myth. Others bowed toward the empty sky. General Kraz sat in silence. We weren't defeated, he whispered. We were corrected. Scene shift. Canary observation. Leora stood beside a group of students. One looked up, confused. Where did Earth go? Leora answered softly. Home. Scene shift. Council chamber. Final image, the Earth seat remained empty. Its flag slowly burned, not with fire but with light, until only the metal base remained. Below it, one line appeared on every screen. We're watching from further away now. Pause. They didn't leave. They just stepped back far enough to see who breaks first. I thought the silence was peaceful, but now I understand. It was a judgment waiting to be passed. Yet anyway. Mic drop line. You didn't survive because you were strong. You survived because we let you. Earth didn't rise again. They simply stood back up, and we realized they had never truly knelt. A monument stood at the heart of the plaza. Not tall, not shining, just a smooth dark stone with a simple inscription. We were seen. Leora stood beside it, older now, tired, but clearer than ever. Children walked by with their parents. No longer afraid, just curious. Were the humans really that powerful? One girl asked. Leora smiled faintly. Power wasn't what made them terrifying. It was the restraint. Scene shift. Galactic Council. Reformed. The hall had changed. No more banners. No grand chairs. The Earth seat remained empty, but now enshrined in quiet reverence. Each ambassador now carried only one vote and one line of obligation spoken before every decision. Remember the ones who watched. No one questioned it. Not anymore. Scene shift. Grohl homeworld. Former War Academy, now a school. Children trained in logic, ethics, empathy. Their textbooks began with a quote. Might only matters when someone stronger permits you to use it. The chapter title? The Human Doctrine. Scene shift. Outer system. Vertex 7. Excavation archaeologists continued their work around the monument beneath the ash. More glyphs had been uncovered. One section translated roughly to, let them believe they are alone, until they prove they are. Shouldn't be. A young student paused before it. So we were always being watched? The head researcher replied. No. We were always being measured. Scene shift. Private observatory. Zeth scholars Laga. Zeth elder stared through a handcrafted telescope. Not at Earth, but where Earth used to be. Nothing there now. Just cold space. But he spoke into the log anyway. They didn't leave to punish us. They left so we'd finally learn. We call them ancient. But I think they were always just tired. They helped. They warned. They corrected. Pause. And then, finally, They let us face ourselves. Leora stood among glowing trees and music now rich with life again. She raised a glass in silent tribute toward the now empty sky, and for the first time, she smiled. Not from safety, not from pride, but from a deeper understanding. They had survived. Earth's judgment. Now came the harder part, living up to it. They weren't gods, just the last adults in a galaxy full of children. We used to fear the day they returned. Now we prepare, so that when they do, we're worth the visit.